Hey, so I wanted to just go with some self-healing tips that work, especially right now, because so many memories are coming up of things that you were, I know it's happening for me, so I know it's happening for everyone else. You know, negative things that you feel embarrassed about, ashamed about, like this deeply rooted, maybe something that happened in the past that deeply triggered you. And I noticed over the last 2 months, there's some things that just kept coming back. And I'm like, what y'all want me to do with this? Okay. Like I embarrassed myself. What? Why am I still thinking about it? But it touched some deeper issues. And I wanted to show you sort of quick ways to alchemize it. I transmute a lot of negative situations from the past into positive, and it is real. And I find when I do that, they don't come back anymore unless it's deeply rooted. And then I do the process again. And I just wanted to show you the different levels that you can use your mind, spiritually alchemize things. And you may have heard this from other people, but you know, I just have a process. Okay, and I just want to go through it. So the first level, when a reoccurring thing, and this is basically when things come up in the past that they just keep coming up and they have an effect on you because their consciousness, there's trauma, there's emotion behind it. Maybe it's not deep rooted. Maybe it is because it's hit on something that someone told you about your whole life. And so it's one of those situations that sort of trigger that. So it is deeper than just that one incident. And so I want to talk about, let's just go step by step. So the first step is if it's a relatively just like low vibrational thing, but not deeply rooted, just a thought I don't want, I transmute the energy and the thought to divine love and light, and I release it into the air to do something good. Now, I learned this when I was younger. I would have thoughts that would just be recurring. So people who say go to war and they see dirty things or they survive trauma, the memories just keep coming back and back, and they come back until you transmute it, deal with it, or release it, or all three. And so when I was little, the way to get thoughts out of my head on a movie I didn't like that made me uncomfortable, maybe like, so when you're really young, you see like a drug scene, it can be a little like, oh goodness, like heroin, you know what I mean? Like it happens, it's real, but like when you're young, it's hard to process that. It could be a little shocking, especially if you're really, and never really been into drugs. So it's just things that stick with you, and you're thinking of that movie and it was just a horrible scene and it won't leave your head. When I was younger, I would just take it, I would take the thought, I would attach it to a rag doll, and I would shoot it to the rag doll up into the atmosphere where it would just turn cold ice and it would just break. And that was the visualization I did to get it out of my head. So share your visualizations if you had to learn to deal with the memories you just didn't want in your head anymore. As I'm awake and conscious now, I realize I literally did take that thought energetically out of my 3D body and shot it to the ether. Then I was like, that's sort of a negative thought, even though it disintegrated. Like now I'm a little bit more mindful that like you control your thoughts, you control the removal of energy, and you control if that energy just lingers around to go attached to someone else. So lower vibration. So one of the things I do is like if I have a thought in my head or an image of that or scene from a movie I just don't want, like a low vibrational movie where they kill a lot of people, and I just don't want to keep thinking about like a dead body, because your mind just sees the image and it's a low vibrational image, and sometimes I just don't want to think about it past the movie, which makes it really interesting if you like dark comedy, which I absolutely do. I'm all about death, destruction for rebirth and renewal, so dark comedy does not faze me. That's my favorite genre. But sometimes those images are gory. So one thing I will do is I will picture the image, I will turn it into pink or white smoke, it just depends on the day. And with that pink or white smoke, I'm transmuting all of the images and energy behind it to divine love and light. And then I picture the smoke or the energy releasing from my mind, just all wisp of it. And then I tell it to go do something good for Gaia, because I just transmuted it to divine love. So now I just made an energetic bad thought and transmuted it to a positive one, and it goes. I know it works when it doesn't come back anymore. So this is for images that keep coming back, reoccurring and reoccurring. So that's like a self-healing tip with visualization. I'm not the biggest visualizer, but it has its place when you're trying to get thoughts out of your head. Or, but just be mindful. You can just release the thought. You can purge the thought. But I like the idea of transmuting it, because then the intention is set that it does something good. And I'm absolutely sure that I just released a negative and made it positive. into the world, that might go into a tree that needs a little love. It might go, it might land on a human that's a little down and they get a burst of love, right? Like it can go anywhere. That's the nature of energy once you realize it. And FYI, I'm an electrical engineering background, so it's interesting that my spirit had me do that because I understand energy on the scientific level, so I can picture it, right? So I just want you to know, like when I'm electrical engineering, you understand the theory of transmission, waves, electromagnetics, physics. And so when I talk, I don't just talk from an awakened consciousness state. It's also like scientifically, I understand how the fundamentals work and that you can release energy into the air and it does travel and it can travel in a sphere all the way around and it keeps going until it attenuates. Attenuates gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So when I create solutions, I always keep sort of those fundamentals. They're a part of me in the back of my head. So it does come with a little understanding of attenuation and energy and how it transmits through the air as a waveform. So just want you to know that it's not just like, there's multiple layers to this, okay? Now, the next thing I do, if it's a recurring energy memory, so I'll do that. So if it's a recurring memory that comes up again, I do that, it comes up again, I do that. The third time, I'll go, spirit guides, y'all gonna have to let me know. What do I need to do for this? I release it, but then I will do a little bit of visualization, and this is real. I will forgive myself for any shame or embarrassment for that moment. And trust, I have a lot because I was just loud and opinionated and a fighter. So I got my ass shown to me one too many times because I was too impulsive. And I will take that next step if it happens more than twice. And this is the next stage of going, okay, I accept myself and who I was at that moment, and that energy and who I was. How I was acting is how all I knew at that moment of hurt and trauma and pain, and it is okay. I forgive myself for being that way. It's okay that I was that way. For all the people that I might have hurt during that incident, because I was a warrior beast, I apologize to them. I want to send them love. And then I'll also take the extra step and change the past. And I've noticed this actually works. You know, I was sort of rude to somebody because, like, it's just, you know, someone was talking to me and I didn't want them talking to me. I was so rude to get them away from me. And I was like, shoot, there's so many other ways I could have let them know I didn't want to talk to them. He was just like on the street, like a local drug addict, which isn't anything wrong. But he was just real familiar with me. And I was like, I don't know you. So stop, like, getting in my face like I do. Like, you're sitting down on the couch. He's just really, like, unaware of how many boundaries he was crossing. So I was super rude. And he was just like, dang, and he left. And I remember I was like, you know what? There's better ways to handle that. Because, you know, he lives in the neighborhood and I don't want that happening. And so you can forgive yourself for it. You can also send forgiveness and compassion to those you may have hurt. Even I say, I'm sorry. And I'll even, if I know I might have caused some trauma unknowingly, I'll also change in my mind and visualize a change to the story with the intention of I'm changing this past item to the good. And I'm going to tell you the effects of that. So instead of me acting that way, I'll think, you know, at this stage I would have said this. And so I say that and gracefully exit the conversation in a much better and stronger way. And they left in the visualization of me rewriting. The intention's to rewrite. So I'm not just doing it. I'm like, the intention's to rewrite how that happened for a different outcome. And then I rewrite it that way, right? And, you know, what I found is I feel so much lighter because that's a past emotional consciousness and that has a vibration and frequency that you just literally told your higher self to transmute and change, alchemize into a super positive experience. And someone, I don't know, some YouTuber said it and I tried it and I realized I feel lighter. I feel better, and the memory doesn't come back. And then that same person who was really distant after that, once I did that alchemy, he was actually like, hi. I was like, hey. So at some level of consciousness, it worked and he got the memo and things in the energy between us changed. So it did happen, but it's like the energy and negative emotions behind it did not happen because it was all changed to love and ascending love and compassion. So that's my next level of self-healing. And I hope these all, you know, try them if you want, don't try them. I'm just saying this is how I got to 5D consciousness where I am lighter because I've dealt with this stuff in my own way. And there's millions of ways to do it. And I'm going to go into a few more, but these are quick visual ways with intention. So when you set the intention, your higher self can go ahead and create that intention. Your spirit can be like, okay, she set the intention. I can make this change because we're infinite. There's karmic laws of the universe, but there's only like 7. So 7 laws of Tahuti that I follow. Outside of that, it's free game. If you think you can't, you can't, and outside of the 7 laws, I'm like, we can go for it. The next level is if that doesn't work and it continues coming up and it is like an emotional response it triggers because it is deep rooted, maybe some sense of identity about myself, things someone said about my whole life that I was always self-conscious about. So just different levels, it's just deeper, and doing that doesn't work. That is when I turn to journaling, and I will journal my thoughts about the situation. And this probably happens to you. When I journal, I'll talk about the situation, what I don't like, what I do like, and I start getting truthful. And then I get to what I want or what I wish I had it done, and da-da-da-da-da. And in that writing, there's powers in that script, Thoth taught us how to write, right? Next to speaking, and it's so powerful, a mechanism. There's power. I have a dream journal, and just by me writing in the dream journal with intention every time I wake up, anytime, if I forget my dream, but I pick up the pen and open the journal, there's energy that gets in me. And then all of a sudden I can remember what I just forgot. Like there's power in what you transcribe and the energy in which you transcribed it that is then forever held in that writing. Okay. That's why I feel books sometimes that I can feel if they're low vibrational. There's this one, it's called The Soul Plan. So low vibrational. I don't know who he was channeling, but I was like, I couldn't read it. I was like, oh, what is this? I feel energy. So I'm just like, this is something wrong. And then I was asking someone about it. They were like, oh, it looks like he was channeling a very low vibrational being, very limited, very lax. So yeah, some of it's okay, but I was like, oh, because I could feel it. That's why if you, certain books and texts, just if you feel it, if you have the ability, just take a chance to sense the energy, like it feels light. I get a deck of oracle cards from my Archangel Michael, and it feels like blue light around it, right? It just is what it is. So your writing is really important. So journaling, I don't like to write, but I do journal as it's so effective and powerful. So I don't like it, but I do keep a journal, especially for 2020. I hope you all are keeping a 2020 journal because it's going to be lit when you reread it in the next 8 years. But I will journal out if it's something that's just deeply rooted and I can't just visualize it away, because it does need a level of forceful ejection and alchemizing. And when you're journaling it and you go from the problem to you wish to like the solution, like you are alchemizing it, you're turning it in, especially if you get all the way to the end and it gets to be the solution, you just sort of transform and dealt with it, right? So that's one way. And generally, if I journal, if it's deeply rooted, I might have to do that 2-3 times, but never 4. Generally by that point, the realizations, the different emotions I didn't capture the first time comes up, and that got alchemized to some truth and understanding. And then maybe something that was little. So it gets easier and easier as you do it. So that's a third self-healing tip. And when I think of healing, I think of it as energetic and a combination of just basically energetically changing it and transforming it through some medium. And the 4th level of healing I do, which is the 1st through 4th, honestly, is my angelic healing, where sometimes I just do, hey, angels, give me a healing from, for the highest good. That was at the beginning. Now I'm like, look, I'm trying to manifest or I'm trying to do this, but before, the highest good. And they would just start, your throat chakra is restricted because of this past life. You were silenced and you got in trouble for it, and that needs to be lifted. Here in your heart chakra, it's really closed, and we want to open that up so that you can give and receive love. It was, it's your root chakra, really needs to be shored up. It's da-da-da-da. And then the angelic healing has been the greatest because, I just let them go because I just trust that with the conversation of my higher self and the archangels that, they know what they're doing, and more so than I ever will. I'm trying to gain that knowledge. And that's been huge on just fixing an issue. So I know if I have people who had trauma or myself, like that won't leave, I'll just like, hey guys, help me heal this. I'll just go, Archangel Michael, here, take all the emotions, these negative emotions about this situation. Let me just hand it to you. And I picture all this energy coming out as energy or smoke and giving it to Archangel Michael, whose hands are out, and he transmutes it to divine love and light. So that's a good one too. So Just with words and thoughts, you have the power to create or change a situation or thought form or consciousness. I use different tools depending on how deep it goes, but you have so many. So that's giving Archangel Michael, or you can give God or Jesus all of them too. I just started with the Archangel, so I tend to go to them first. But you can do the same with God or Jesus if that's your comfortability in the relationship that you've built, right? And then that's giving, and I've done that quite a few times because so for instance, with things I don't want to examine too much, like my ex-husband, who has, I've split custody, and he's like asleep. Like I said, that can take me out of it. I'll be like, okay, I don't even want to save him. I hope he gets left in 3D. It's just not a nice thought. And then I'll have that thought, and I'm like, okay, Archangel Michael, can you take these negative, bitter emotions I have about him and release? And I'll picture the energy coming out and just transmuting to divine love and light, and let Michael do whatever he needs to it. And then after that, things I couldn't do before, like say a prayer about him, I can now pray about him, because now all those negative energies and emotions aren't there. And sometimes I just don't feel like journaling or visualizing because it's deep. And I'm just like, just take this for me now so I can go and do what I need to do in light, not hate, not anger. So that's another tip. And those are just things that I just don't want to examine to, sometimes you just don't want to journal and examine and get to truth about it because it's so deep. But just take these emotions right here, and I'm able to function and go forward without those negative emotions blocking me from wanting to do something good for someone in my life who is an important part of it and a good partner. And then the angelic healings, when I just do anything, it's like sometimes I'm like, hey, I have fear or shame around this. Just help me relieve that. And they work on the different chakras, and they can just sort of take it away and transmute it. So, and then give me more faith and trust, right? Like you can energetically send those codes to yourself. We are energetic beings. So you got to understand that. And that's just the super easiest. So that's something that maybe I'll do one on like self-healing if you guys are interested, like showing you a video if you wanted to, how to bring angels in to heal the different aspects. You'll start with like, hey, what's for my highest good? And then as you get more sophisticated, get more specific about what help and support you would like to receive. But just leave in the notes below. I'll probably do another masterclass. It's sort of deep. A lot of questions will be answered. But then the good thing is, once you can talk and communicate with angels and heal with them, you can heal with other beings as well who are here for your highest good. The sun, Jupiter, Mars, Ra, Jesus. Although you better be prepared for Jesus. I did a healing with him. It was 2 hours long. He anointed my hands, and so that I'm a deeper healer. And it was so high power. I said fall asleep, but you're knocked out. And then I came to, we were still going. I'm like, woo. So, get your energy up for some of these beings, okay? You don't just step into the arena. You have to be able to hold a very high frequency. So, yeah. So, yeah, that is the way I do it. I hope it helps. These are tools when you get to a level of consciousness and understanding and realize you can, in fact, do that with intentionality and visualization or just asking spiritual support. It becomes easier. And I'm doing this because I know sometimes you're like, it's good to go to a healer like myself, and I can help you see things that you're too close to. But it's also good for these little things to alchemize, because it's going to help you lighten your vibration in a very fundamental way. You're going to walk and be different because you're not holding on to that consciousness trauma or low vibrational energy that might have been stored in your hip or your thighs or somewhere. And I just find that at this stage, we need this level just to get through the little things, as well as while we maybe go to a healer or something for the bigger things. So that's why I'm doing this. So you can start with these little things. You're going to notice every day, you're going to walk lighter. Your energy is going to be changed because you get back to your purity and yourself without all the trauma that this 3D life can give you and interacting with different people. And it's a good place to be. You got to trust me on that. It's a lot easier in life. You hold a higher vibration. Things come to you easier. It's easier to delve into your spiritual gifts. All right, guys. Thank you. Oh, anything coming up? Yeah, I mentioned on the other call that we're going to be doing a master class on channeling different angels and learning how to do that for yourself, which will change your life. Because if you look at all the channelers out there, we all live a great life because we learn how to depend on that spirit world and talk to it and get the guidance. And so it's a different world we live in. And the other one on the magic of intention and how to start and go from beginner to sort of master level crafting at using intention to manifest. And that's part one of manifesting. But sometimes all you have to do is set one. And I saw all the books out there. I've read a few, but none talk about it with the understanding that I have of it. And I think it's important to know how things work. As you guys know, I like to break things down, because if you know how things work, you can manipulate it in the way that you need to for the highest good of yourself and for others, versus just shooting in the dark. You know how it's working, so then you can expand on it. All right, if you guys have any self-healing tips, please feel free to leave them for other people. I know I like to read them because I like to add to my repertoire, especially if there's something else that's easy to do. And I will talk to you guys soon. And if you want to do a healing session with me, please reach out. I love helping people heal. That's what I'm here for, in addition to teaching and the financial stuff. But still, I'm a healer, so that's what I like to do the most of. And I like seeing the change people have. All right, bye.